In 1999, Nigerians went to the polls to vote a new government that became the nation's fourth republic. It was a time of great hope for charting the course of the nation's future in the hopes of achieving the greatest economic growth, strategic development, and improved human indices. Governments began to work on policies geared at achieving this, but there was a catch. There was a significant gap in the amount of reliable data available to guide development planning and learning. Why was this important? Accurate socioeconomic information helps create better informed stakeholders. Together, they are vital to the effectiveness of any program and critical ingredients for improving development practice and creating an enabling environment for growth to occur in the country. One way to solve these problems to policy formulation was the establishment of PIND, the Foundation for Partnership Initiatives in the Niger Delta. PIND, a Nigerian non-profit, was established in 2010 with initial funding from Chevron to promote peace and equitable economic growth in Nigeria's Niger Delta region. Today, we continue to forge multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder partnerships at the regional, national, and international levels among local businesses, the government, and private sector corporations. PIND designed its analysis and advocacy program to address this gap by gathering data and generating credible analysis of the key economic, institutional, and peace-building constraints. It then sought to increase understanding and awareness of these constraints among stakeholders interested in the region. The strategy identified ways to inform and influence government decisions and policies through data and evidence to remove identified systematic constraints in value chains PIND supports. It positioned PIND as an organization able to receive and implement donor grants in the region. It promoted a culture of partnership, collaboration, coordination, and shared learning amongst development partners in addressing systemic constraints to economic growth. It improved understanding and created awareness on systemic constraints and enablers to inclusive, equitable economic growth in the region, and created opportunities for dialogue, reflection, and debates among development actors and interested stakeholders to support ongoing and future economic growth initiatives. PIND deployed some platforms to facilitate this vision. 1. The Niger Delta Development Forum, first held in 2012, and ND-Link. Other ways to achieve these goals included support to state and federal governments, awareness for development action using media for development and advocacy calendars, and deploying the use of socio-economic data through the Small Research Grants Program, SRJP, and the Models of Development and Experiential Learning, MODEL. The Niger Delta Development Forum, known as NDDF, was an advocacy platform to inform, influence, and leverage resources from public, private, and civil society organizations. NDDF promotes models, approaches, and strategies to attain equitable economic growth. ND-Link, on the other hand, was designed to be a growing online platform for a diverse set of development practitioners focused on the sustainable development of the region. Through engagement and advocacy, PIND signed a partnership agreement with the Ondo State Government's Wealth Creation Agency for a pilot project to develop the agricultural entrepreneurship skills of young graduates through cultivation and processing of cassava in December 2015. This agreement was signed only a month after the 2015 NDDF, where representatives from Cross River, Imo, Delta, and Abia state governments demonstrated their commitment to regional growth. PIND also partook in the Niger Delta Way Forward Forum alongside development partners and federal government agencies and ministries following engagements with the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Less than a year later, PIND signed a partnership agreement with the Cross River State Government on Saturday, April 30th, 2016, to advance and facilitate sustainable development of Cross River State. This partnership fed into the Cross River State Government's 30-year development plan and followed our previous work to increase collaboration with government at the state and federal level. With this partnership, PIND was pegged to work through the Office of the Chief Economic Advisor in cooperation with relevant state ministries and civil society organizations to 1. Develop state's agricultural economy with emphasis on cocoa, cassava, aquaculture, and oil palm value chains. 2. Produce a strategic document to help the state's economic development planning. 3. To develop new strategies and policies for youth development. 4. To improve the state's capacity for conflict mitigation and mediation and support the state government in the selection of right partners for specific sector development.
Growth is inclusive, where the various groups in the society, particularly the youth, the women, and the poor, are part of that growth.
The bottlenecks that impede growth of our internally generated revenue. Fine, we're growing, but we know we can do better.
We ensure rights of livelihood plan put in place to keep alive this initiative.
Along with deepening its relationship with state governments through the region, the Foundation is also reaching out to media houses with presence in the Niger Delta region to drive advocacy for agricultural development by helping sensitize key audiences in private and public sector on needed policy objectives for the promotion of pro-poor development in key sectors. This agreement took effect from May 1st, 2016. From there, PIND moved to Delta State. As part of its support of state and federal governments, PIND negotiated a partnership with the Delta State government to inform and influence the policies, decisions, knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors of the government. Together, we support pro-poor, equitable economic growth, and a legacy of sustainable peace throughout the state. Prior to PIND's launch, the Niger Delta had little donor presence because of the difficulty in operating in the region. After 10 years of advocating to government as an enabling solution to reducing poverty and fostering stability, the Foundation's presence and operation supports easy takeoff and implementation of partners projects and has renewed donor interest, influencing additional investment of 38.1 billion Nigerian naira by federal and state governments, the private sector, and donor agencies into the region for development programs. 88 policy papers, policies, and plans produced towards engendering an enabling environment for development. The download of 36,134 of development resources from our ND Link online platform and 16.7 million visitors to the site has increased the availability of information and data on Niger Delta needs, challenges, development priorities, and opportunities. PIND's technical support enabled government officials and agencies to publicly validate the Abia State Long-Term Development Plan in November 2020. When implemented, the 2019 plan will transform the state's development efforts to a more holistic approach that will generate economic opportunities and an improved standard of living. Similarly, the 2019 draft Edo State Long-Term Development Plan was produced through project management and technical support from PIND. At the request of the Edo State Executive Governor, PIND trained the state civil servants on the value and development of a long-term plan that would inform the plan's implementation when finalized and launched in early 2021. Collectively, both Abia and Edo State governments displayed strong ownership of the plans by each committing 20 million Nigerian naira to support development processes. As part of PIN's strategic plan for 2020 to 2024, the organization hopes to 1. Influence spending and funding from the government, donors, and private sector organizations on new projects. 2. support the Economic Development Program in addressing emerging advocacy issues of access to arable land for smallholder farmers. 3. Address constraints on small businesses brought about by multi-taxation and illegal levies, and provide support to the peace-building efforts to institutionalize strategies that will promote security and conflict prevention.